Let's see if we get the slides swapped out there. Thank you so much for having me at the conference. Today I'm going to be talking about the future of AR and some work that has been developed over the years. Whenever I give a talk about emerging technologies, I usually set the table, what I call set the table. It's a couple standard slides that I like to show. Also, this is the interactive portion. There'll be many interactive portions of my talk. And in this particular interactive portion, there are prizes. This also helps me wake up because technically it's 8 p.m. in Los Angeles. So this slide here shows you the different platforms. And my question to you is, how many years do you think it took radio to reach 50 million users? How many years do you think it took radio to reach 50 million users? 50? 50? 25? 30? Okay, you may know the number. All right. Ray is my assistant. He's going to give you the slides. It is 38 years. Okay, you can't answer anymore. All right, 38 years. What about TV? How long did it take TV to get to 50 million users? What is that? I heard what is it? 18? 15? 20? Well, let's go to 15. It's the closest. It's 14 years. Ray, can you give him? What I'm giving out are little viewers. Has anyone heard of Google Cardboard? So these are a little bit better than Google Cardboard. We'll go through them. There'll be an opportunity to try them out. But these are viewers that you can click onto your phone to view this immersive content in a much easier way. All right, internet. How long did it? Well, wait. Before I start, notice the adoption rate for TV is less than half than the predecessor, right? Internet. How long did it take in the back? Are you putting up 4? Is that it? All right, 4 years in the back over there. His hand's still up. It took 4 years. Less than a third. Keep going. Have your hand up. There you go. 4 years. Don't cheat and go to Google now. It took less than a third of its predecessor for 50 million users to use that technology. All right, iPod, the classic iPod. 2.5? 1 year? 2 years? 3 years, right there. 3 years. It took 3 years. Now, we're getting more into compressed present time where technology is coming, but 3 years. 3 years for iPod. The classic iPod with the little wheel on it, it took 3 years to get to 50 million users. Facebook? No, 8 months? 2 years, right over there. 2 years. It took 2 years. And then this one is a trick question a little bit. iPhone apps. In 9 months, there were 1 billion downloads. In 9 months, there were 1 billion downloads. Now, I show this not only to wake you up and to give away prizes, but because I want you to keep in mind throughout my talk how we, for better or for worse, have adopted technology into our lives at such an incredible speed. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It is just our reality, right? This new technology comes and we adopt it. It disrupts our lives. I also want you to think about the narrative of a clock. This is from a colleague named Mark Billinghurst that uses the clock and the evolution of the clock as something to think about. When clocks were first invented, they were big, they were bulky, they were expensive. There was only one in the town. But as the technology became more affordable, the parts and pieces became smaller, more features. It changed from in the middle of the plaza to in the middle of the living room to your desktop and to eventually your body, on your wrist and in your pocket. We see that narrative very similar to computers. I'm skipping a couple iterations in the Apple history book, but it went from a mainframe computer to a tabletop, to a desktop, laptop, and now to the phones in our pockets and are in our hands, right? That evolution is something that is constant with technology. It is moving, getting smaller, getting cheaper, getting faster, and in the previous slide, being adopted quicker. Now, this stat is actually pretty old, but to me it's an important stat. And I've given talks around the world, and I found that this is universal, this is global. 91% of us have our smartphones within arm's reach 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the first thing we look at when we wake up. This is the last thing we look at when we go to sleep. And somehow we're still married. Our spouses are okay with us doing this stuff. It's just part of our life, just constantly looking at our phone. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It just is. Raise your hand if your cell phone woke you up this morning as your alarm clock, right? It replaced the alarm clock. This is the first thing we look at. It's an addiction, perhaps, but it's our reality. There are more cell phones than there are toothbrushes in the world, right? The UN found that more people around the world have access to a mobile phone than access to a working toilet. This is universally adopted. This is it's probably the only product that is a 1-to-1 ratio to every human being on earth. There isn't one television a person. There isn't one computer a person. When I buy the newspaper, it's not even one newspaper a person. It's often shared, right? But this device is turned into one person in every family. Every person in your family has a mobile device. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It just is. So I want you to think about these things, right? The adoption rate, the evolution of technology, and how it's integrated into our lives. Because thinking about that narrative, well, this is not its final form. This will constantly change, become smaller, go faster, process faster, have more features, and continue to be adopted. To me, this is a wearable device. It's part of my body. If it's not in my hand, it's in my back pocket, it's in my purse. It's a wearable device. It's an inefficient wearable device because I have to give it at least one of my hands, and I have to give it my attention, blocking you all out, right? So who knows what is next? There's a couple of theories. We'll talk about that. But one of the things I know, and maybe I'm a journalism professor teaching my students how to tell stories about their communities. And one of the things that we're looking at is augmented reality and virtual reality. Who's ever tried some virtual reality, right? Okay, good. Who's ever tried augmented reality? Okay, so similar group. So to define virtual reality is that I leave this reality, I block it out, and I immerse myself into another. Often with a headset here, that's the Oculus Rift, bought by Facebook for $2 billion. It's a head-mounted display, an HMD. I shut out the world so I can immerse myself into another world. There are a lot of different headsets that are out there. You can create VR content through computer graphics, 3D modeling, gaming engines like Unity and Unreal, but you can also create not true VR, but still immersive experiences with cameras, 360 cameras. I have many of them. I've been playing tourist yesterday, taking 360 pictures that I can publish in a variety of different ways, including Facebook. But when I talk about VR, it also is abstract for people. So here are some 3 apps that I recommend you can download. We're going to use 2 of them today. We're going to use Aurasma and we're going to use YouTube. Aurasma, I want you to download. I'm going to have you use the app later in the talk. When you download that app, you have to make an account in order for it to work. It's free, but you can try that out. But what I want you to do now, I'm probably going to go over my time for my talk, but I want to do this. I want you to launch the YouTube app. So I want you to take your phone out. Everyone take out your smartphone. And hopefully you have the YouTube app. It's often default on your phone. Make sure you're connected to the Wi-Fi. And what I want you to do is launch the YouTube app. And in the upper corner of the YouTube app, there's a little magnifying glass. See that it's that search button. What I want you to do is to search the word "the displaced." The displaced. Give you a moment to do that. I'll type that in as well. The displaced. And what you'll see amongst the results is the first one right here is a 360 video done by the New York Times. Has anyone seen this piece before? Okay, so this was the New York Times' first 360 video. What they did was they gave out 1 million Google Cardboards to their print subscribers, and with it told them to read the Sunday story, but also experience that story in a different way through 360 video. So what I want you to do is go ahead and click on that, and you will see this video start playing, right? Hold it sideways so you can get the full screen. And for those who won the prize, I want you to get your viewer out. Take this out. Peel off the protective stickers there. There's some protective stickers on there. So move your phone around. You can use your finger to move it around, your tablet as well. But those who got the prize, I don't know if you saw it there, but I want you, let me go, I can't go back there, but there's a little mass icon in the corner, when you're holding it sideways. Tap it, and it will split the screen that way. And then with your lens, you clip it right in the center there. And now you can view it in a different way. It's a lot more immersive, right? Who's done it? Who won the prize? Try that out. If you won the prize there, swap it into that VR mode and view it that way, and be nice and share it with your neighbors there. So that is virtual reality, 360 video. You didn't have to buy additional hardware or anything like that. It's using your mobile phone to unlock this reality made accessible now. Let's now shift to augmented reality, which is the focus of the talk. Augmented reality has been my focus of my work for over a decade or so. My specialty is working on emerging technologies and trying to figure out how I can use these technologies for journalism and nonfiction storytelling. Often these technologies are not mainstream yet and are never thinking about journalism as a use case. So I take it and apply it. Augmented reality, if you remember, virtual reality is I shut out this reality and I immerse myself into another. Augmented reality is I stay present in this reality and digital assets are overlaid on top of it to enhance it, right? So I stay present in this reality and there are elements that are activated and overlaid on top of it. I've been thinking about how do I use this for journalism? What is the future of storytelling with AR? And many of us, many nerds will remember Harry Potter and the newspapers in Harry Potter that come to life, right? Pictures that move. It's not just static, it's a magic to it. Augmented reality, like virtual reality, has been around for a long time. Virtual reality has been around for decades, but often has been a lot of hype and never gone mainstream. It has generated a buzz now because of Oculus Rift. I shifted from AR to VR because of that shift, but there's a shift going back to augmented reality, right? So augmented reality in print, specifically for newspapers, has actually been tried out. These are some examples from 2012, around that time. Different experiences. Here again, I'll play that video. You see that this newspaper did, someone did a prototype of the Harry Potter magical newspaper. This is from Esquire magazine 2012. This is an augmented cover of their magazine.
Of Esquire.
If you notice,
before I say anything more, let me just kind of show you.
Ha! Booyah! In your face! And bless your soul. Welcome to the augmented reality issue
Robert,
of Esquire magazine. My name is...
So if you notice, this is 2012. They didn't use their phone. They held the magazine cover to their computer camera, right? It was a different time. People didn't use mobile first as much as we do now. The Times of India actually launched some AR pieces as I was preparing for this talk. This is called Alive. When I went to go try it out, the Android version doesn't work anymore. And iOS, I still downloaded, but it didn't work there. I don't know if they've abandoned their project. They were ahead of the curve. Like many of us trying and experimenting with AR and emerging technologies, it's about timing. Not only is the technology accessible, ready, is it accessible, and is it socially part of practice, right? This again is 2012. My students in 2013 created an AR experience where we augmented the downtown LA library, where we used visual markers to unlock 3D models or stories throughout a physical space. 2013, right? But a lot has changed since then. 2, 3, 4 significant changes I want to talk about, which is why we're talking about AR again and why AR is becoming more in vogue. These 2 changes are pretty big. Who's on Snapchat? Chances are you're not, but your kids are, right? We're not the demographic for Snapchat, but Snapchat has taught a huge part of the population about augmented reality without using the words augmented reality. These weird face filters. You may not understand them. You may have played with them as a kid, changed your voice so you can be a bumblebee, throw up a rainbow. I don't know why they do it, but it's being done. It's being widely adopted. And millions of people every single day go to Snapchat and make fools of themselves for their friends using augmented reality, right? That has started to change the behavior. Even though they don't know it's AR, it started to introduce the concept of augmenting my real life, my real world. Next to that is Pokemon Go. Did anyone play Pokemon Go? Yeah? What level did you get? What level did you get to? Yeah? So I went to level 22, and then I was like, what am I doing with my life? But Pokemon Go brought location augmented reality to mainstream. Again, remember the first slide? Something new comes, and the adoption rate, right? In 2012, this technology was there, but it wasn't adopted. You can't predict when it will go mainstream, but Snapchat introduced that to a younger demographic, and it was adopted. Pokemon Go came out, and millions of us signed up for it, and about a month later, the majority have abandoned it, but still there are active users in that space. That is a shift to bring awareness to AR, the use of that technology in everyday life, right? It starts to make it more socially and culturally acceptable. There are also 2 other physical devices. Project Tango is a Google phone that just launched last year, but now available, and this is a big shift, is the Apple iPhone 10. I just upgraded to it. I'm using it, testing it out. But what's essential about this is that it has all these sensors and cameras here that are scanning my face and collecting that data. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it just is. And that has a lot of potential for how to use augmented reality. Project Tango has sensors in the back that are scanning the room, and that unlocks the use of AR in a variety of different places. Lego has been using that in their printed products, in their displays at toy stores. When you're buying a box, a Lego set, you can put it in front of the camera, and it can show you what you're going to build, right? Inspire you that even though it's going to take you 6 months to do that Star Wars piece, you can actually build it and see what it will look like. Ikea has also been an early adopter. They augmented their print catalog, but now they're using the ability to scan a room so you can test out, just to show that again, you can test out, does that sofa fit in the living room, right? So these are use cases that are, again, unlocking the mainstream potential of it. All right, so hopefully a couple of you have downloaded the Aurasma app. Aurasma is something that I'm going to show in a little bit. I want to show the VR Life from Time Inc., the magazine company. They've invested in VR, and they recently augmented the cover of Sports Illustrated. They sold an ad to this beer, and they augmented the cover. Here's a video demo of that. You download the app, you point the app to the cover, and then the cover comes alive. And from that AR cover, it hands off to 360 video. So you're starting to see the blur of these 2 worlds. And in that blur of these 2 worlds, the user doesn't care whether it's AR or VR. It's just an immersive experience, triggered by print or triggered by something else, without having to buy a head-mounted display, using what's already in their pocket or in their hand to unlock these experiences. Aurasma, which is owned by HP, has been in this space for some time. And this is a great way for you to experiment and to play in this space without having to spend a lot of money. And as a proof of concept, what I did was take 2 minutes and I augmented the cover of our program. So did anyone download the Aurasma app and sign up? If you did, you can point at the program cover or point it to the screen. Let me see if it works. Sir, would you come up here and point it there and see if it works? Let's live demo. Let's see if it works. So, oh, okay. Have you created an account yet? Oh, okay. So it won't work until you create an account. But knowing that it takes time, I want you to download it and try it. But this is a video capture of what you should see. Took me literally 2 minutes to augment the cover, to add some little particles.
I'm Hernandez, digital journalism professor at USC Annenberg, the University of Southern California, here in Los Angeles.
So augmented, put little particles over the cover, added the NPES logo and video. You can add multiple elements to anything. You can augment a print object in moments. Very simple, very easy. Of course, you can upgrade for more professional stuff where you can do 3D modeling and things like that. This is accessible now, right? Now, we're talking about what's accessible now. Think about, again, that evolution. This is not its final form. So what's next? Coincidentally, Wired has written about the race for smart glasses. I did a class with Google Glass. Does anyone remember Google Glass? Right? This is a head-mounted display that augmented my world around me, and it had a lot of fantastic potential, but culturally, it wasn't socially acceptable yet. As we move forward and advance with this technology, with the compelling content, that form factor is going to come back by necessity, right? I want to have that stuff, but I don't want to have to pull out my phone and use my hands to hold it. So I will use the word inevitable. I believe this form factor is inevitable, and there's a race to try to define that form factor. Snapchat is now a camera company and created spectacles, sunglasses that can record 10-second videos that goes into Snapchat. They were not a success. They've sold them, but they haven't sold as many as they had hoped, right? Maybe it's too early. But there's a lot of other technologies coming in vogue, right? This is the Meta glasses. These are Epson glasses. Right over here is a prototype that came out, and the company tells me it does not look like that. But there's this company called Magic Leap. Magic Leap made news when Google invested $500 million in their technology, where they're bringing augmented reality to glasses. And it's really powerful, but they're delayed in rolling it out. They're very smart. I've interviewed them. They're very smart in terms of being aware of the challenges that they're facing. They want something that doesn't look ridiculous when you put it on, that is aesthetically pleasing, that someone who is looking at you with these glasses doesn't feel threatened or their privacy being violated, right? So this is more than just technology or the content, but it's a lot of factors coming into play. There, of course, are developments with contact lenses. Google released a contact lens. This is one that augments your eye capability to be better than 20/20 vision. Lots of things being developed in this space. As a journalist, I hold to the saying, content is king. Content is king. But something to think about is when it comes to all these new developments and innovation, it doesn't matter to me if it's Google Glass or my phone or the Oculus Rift. What matters to me is how I optimize my content to create great experiences for the community to use these elements, right? This technology's been around for a long time. It doesn't matter how great the technology is. If you don't give a use case, a reason for someone to engage with this technology, they're not going to do it. So for me, from my biased perspective as a storyteller, I think content plays an incredible role there. But there's something else. In this current time, we live in a reality, especially my country, where there's the accusations of fake news half the time, but manipulation of news and information. I recently gave a TED Talk talking about how immersive storytelling is really powerful, how we believe content and experiences more when we're immersed in them. And at the end of my talk, I showed some new technology that I want to show you guys today. This is a video that made some news. Take a look at it.
It's been less than a week since the deadliest mass shooting in American history.
This is Obama speaking about a mass shooting that happened in a nightclub in Miami, but that's not where this video made news. This video made news because it never happened. That video never happened. It was recreated by this company using audio from Obama. Let's see, click next.
Especially our friends who are lesbian, gay, bisexual,
Lower
or
the volume
transgender.
for me. The
I
one
visited
on
with
the
the families
left
of many of the
is
victims
real.
on Thursday.
The one
and
on
one
the
thing I
right
told them
is
is that
fake.
they're not alone.
The
American
one
people
on the left
and people
is
all
real.
over the world are standing
The
with
one
them,
on the right is
and we
fake.
always will.
The one on the right uses the audio as a source to manipulate video. So we are going to go into this era with really powerful technologies where we need ethical creators, not only technologists, but storytellers to really be proactive and responsible, right? Obviously, I'm a nerd. Uncle Ben from Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. So we need to think about that and keep that in mind as we develop these new technologies and apply them to our industries. Thank you so much for having me. We'll continue the conversation throughout the day. I now have the pleasure to introduce the next session, which is about opportunities and challenges in digital publishing. Our speaker is Manish Gupta. Do I do the intro first, or do I do? Okay, Manish. From Conoco Minolta, he's a deputy general manager. He's been in the printing industry for 15 years, but most notably, out of his long bio and accomplishments, he is credited in Conoco Minolta's strengths going into Conoco Minolta's products going into the photo industry. So a round of applause for our speaker, Manish.